Hello, my name is Victoria Seed and I am coming to you from the Vesta Approach in Manchester, UK. And this week is Alcohol Awareness Week. And what I want to talk to you about this week is all about alcohol. So please go and check out my social media sites, Vesta Approach on Instagram and Facebook, and then if you're on LinkedIn, it's Victoria Seed. So yeah, I help families who are affected by a loved one's drinking or drug use, and I help them through my one-to-one and group works and membership programs. And I help my clients by teaching them really effective ways to cope with their loved ones' problems and having the best chance possible of encouraging their loved one to get the help that they need. My goal in all of my career has been around family recovery. So the theme this week of Alcohol Awareness Week is alcohol and relationships. Okay, and that is everything I've been doing since 2005. I've been a drug worker from 2005. I've specialised in family work in 2008. And I've done this type of work for, well, it's nearly 20 years, isn't it? But, for quite a long time. So what's happened today is that I've started a 28-day group work program and we are kicking that off. Well, we've kicked it off on Monday. It's not too late to join that. So if anyone wants to come and kickstart the family recovery, you can check it out. Check out the site there because you can come and join us. It's a 28-day program all run through Facebook to kickstart your family recovery. It's not too much content. It's going to be manageable and it's specifically for women living in this situation. So please come and check it out because there's no point going it alone and you'll have lots of skills and knowledge before Christmas. All right. So what are we talking about? We're talking about 5 ways alcohol affects relationships. If you're watching and you want to drop any comments in, please do. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, just drop me a DM and I will happily have a chat to you there. So 5 ways. Let's get to it. Number 1. The first relationship that alcohol affects is the person's relationship with themselves. So I've helped lots and lots of people who have had problems with drinking. And we're not just talking about alcoholics here. We are talking about people who have problems with alcohol. So it could be that, there isn't a dependency there, but actually the alcohol use is impacting on themselves and other relationships. So how does it affect the person then? The reality can be masked by alcohol use, and that sometimes is the reason why people drink to kind of get out of that reality because they're unhappy with one or more aspects of their life, or they're trying to get away from something. It could be past trauma, it could be current lifestyle, could be a relationship, it could be anything, right? Because people drink for all sorts of reasons. And then what happens is that there can be a denial around the seriousness of the problem. And sometimes for that person, the alcohol isn't as big of a problem as some of the other problems that they've got are. So it's a really tough dynamic. But obviously that person is often uncomfortable in their own skin and they're trying to mask pain and avoid things. All right. So, and they might also be unaware of how trauma has affected them. And I know this because I've done some consultancy work where we brought some trauma practice in. And when we introduced the concept of trauma to the adults that were using substances, they actually said, I had never even thought about the connection to the things I've been through and my substance use. And now I understand why I've been doing the things I've been doing. And now I can get some help. Yeah. So helping people understand that connection is amazing. So the second relationship is relationships with partner. And most of my clients that I get are women, but I also help men. So don't worry about getting in touch if you're a man. And it's women with partners or women with sons, adult sons, most of the time. Don't ask me why it's adult sons, but it is. So what happens is, obviously, when somebody's drinking and it's causing problems, then it impacts on the connection and the communication within that relationship. Obviously, there can be secrets and lies and all sorts of things going on. It can impact on the mental health of the partner who hasn't got the problem with drinking. They are filled with worry, anxiety, stress. They're dealing with all sorts of things. They might be covering up for the loved one. We call that enabling behaviours, where you remove the consequences of a loved one's use. And that could be through fear of them dying, through fear of them losing the jobs, of losing your home, of it, of the children finding out, whatever it is. And I really genuinely understand this impact on partners, because I've worked with partners for a very, very long time. So that is the second relationship that I've seen in my experience and work. The third relationship is relationships with parents and the family. So like I say, I have helped a lot of parents, particularly mothers, with adult children and sometimes with younger children as well. And what happens there is that again, there's a disconnect, and the dynamic's slightly different with parents, because with partners, because you're living together generally every day. You're having daily contact with them. Sometimes with parents, parents, you don't have that. And then one of the strategies that we use in my work is around rewards. And again, that's a different dynamic, because mums and the sons, for example, have had feedback that, like, my adult son doesn't want to hang around with me, so how can I implement rewards? And it's about us establishing, like, that we can do that through praise and recognition and planning things, whatever it is, to compete with the times that they're using the substance. Okay, so yeah, there's a huge thing there, and I can completely understand it. My son is 5 years old, so I understand that as a parent, the dynamic's really, really difficult. There can be a lot of guilt, because parents can hold themselves responsible for what's happened. But do you know what? It's not anybody else's responsibility when someone picks up a drink or drugs. Okay, it's a choice that they have made initially, and it's nobody else's fault. And it's not really, we're not blaming anyone, are we? We're not saying, well, it's their own fault, because that's not relevant either. What what else I've seen is a lot of shame and a lot of secrecy, and that responsibility really that parents feel. So the relationship with parents and the wider family as well. There might be siblings who lose contact with each other. One person doesn't want to have contact with another sibling because they've got this problem, and again, that's understandable and that's up to them. But then that creates an additional layer of difficulty for the parents, because they've got then this, not always conflict, but just this kind of separation from siblings. Okay, so number 4 is relationships with children. And there's a lot of people who I've helped in my time, and my specialism one of my specialisms is in parental substance use, parental or carer substance use. And we can also have sibling substance use and other family members as well, kind of encompassed into this. Children are affected by parental substance use at any age. There was a report in 2003 called Hidden Harm that identified the impact of drug use on children. And that was nearly 20 years ago. So over the last 20 years, we've been doing a lot of work around this. It doesn't matter whether families think they're hiding it or not, because that's not helpful either. All right. The impact on children could be that emotional connection, observing or witnessing a parent in different states. And that could increase the anxiety in children and young people. Families also tend to close rank and try and manage the situation themselves through fear of children's services getting involved and other people knowing and things like that. But I would urge you to do the opposite of that and reach out and ensure your children have got somebody professional, school ideally, who knows about the situation, who can support your child, who can validate the feelings without that emotion coming from within the family. And then what we want to be doing, is shining a light on the problem to stop the addiction growing and putting protective factors in place for children as soon as possible. There's lots of research, such as adverse childhood experiences around this, and I've worked with children whose parents think they've hidden it, and the children still know something's going on, but because no one's talking to them about it, the feelings aren't validated, and that goes internal, and that's not good. All right, so the relationships with children is also affected. And number 5 is the relationship with work. So we have a lot of people ringing in sick, for example, or worse still, turning up when they've got a problem and driving to work or dropping the kids off at work on the way to work, at school on the way to work. There's all of these things that will be impacted by alcohol use. And operating machinery and things like that, that's dangerous driving, long distances or whatever it is in work. And of course, there's the other aspect of work, such as your motivation being affected, not being able to think further than the next drink, for example, or anything like that. So just to recap there, then we've had the person's relationship with themselves, relationships with partner, relationships with parent and the wider family, relationships with children, and relationship with work. So they're the things that I've seen and identified in my work. So if you're feeling or if you're experiencing any of these things, please get in touch, whether you're the person that's drinking and you want some help. And we're not just talking about addicts here, all right, or dependency or whatever. Forget the labels. If you want some help to change, reach out. I can do that work, but I've also got people that I recommend, such as Stephanie Shivers, who you can find on LinkedIn or through iChange21. So yeah, if just reach out and get some help. If you are a family member, get in touch with me because I can help. I've got free resources. I've got paid. And of course, there are some other services as well that can help. You can find out all of those services through my freebie that I have for you. If you head over to vestaapproach.co.uk/freebie, you will be able to get a download, and I have recommended practitioners there, charitable organizations that can help. So don't be alone, and have a look as well, if you get a chance, at Alcohol Concerns website, because the Alcohol Awareness Week is their campaign and it's fab, and there's so many resources on there. All right, I'm going to go. So I will see you